Hello everybody, Lurgs here, welcome to my channel, and today it's the Sanus Simply Safe TV mount installation. This is a brand new TV that we've just got. I wanted to put it on a table, my wife wants it on the wall.
Yes, Lurgs, I do want it on the wall.
And the inner child in me cannot resist doing this. And I'm going to be using this Sanus TV wall mount because it's had really good reviews. Before I go through the installation of this Sanus TV wall mount, this is what it's going to look like at the end of the video. Now I'm going to be installing it in a masonry wall. You can also install it on a stud partition wall, which is putting it into timber frames. And these TV wall mounts come in different sizes. I've got the one for 22-inch to 50-inch TVs. If you've got a larger TV, you will need to purchase a larger TV wall mount. And it says here, you'll love this mount. Installation is a breeze and installation is in minutes. Yeah, minutes. Well, it took me about 120 minutes, so about 2 hours. If we open up the box, you basically get everything that you're going to need. You get all the screws, all the attachments you need for the back of the TV. This is the actual TV wall mount. It's also got a spirit level built into it, which is an absolutely brilliant idea when you're screwing it to the wall. That is the bracket for the back of the TV. You've got various washers and bolts here for attaching the bracket to the back of the TV. And you've got your wood screws, which also double up as the masonry screws. And you've also got your wall plugs here, which are for masonry walls. If I look at the instructions that came with the new TV, it uses M6 bolts for the attachments at the back, and you've got various lengths of these, and one of these will obviously be suitable for the back of our TV. And I've just stood the TV on a towel here just to stop the TV getting scratched. This is the legs that came with it, but we won't be using those. These are the two M6 bolt attachments at the back where you put the bracket on the back of the TV. So this is the bracket that comes with the Sanus TV wall mount. This is the bracket which goes against the wall. And I'll just show you how that works. So that would be up against the wall, and that's your TV mount there. And then that literally just hangs on this TV wall mount, just like this. So what we need to do first is get the bracket attached to the back of the TV. First of all, line it up with those threads. Take some of your M6 bolts, if it's the M6 ones that you're using. We've got various lengths in here. You also get two washers, you'll need these. Now I'm just going to try the mid-size bolts first, but don't go tightening them down fully because you might have to remove these bolts and use longer ones or maybe shorter ones, and we'll come to that as we start the installation. So as with all my videos, just do these hand tight to start with. You do not want to go straight in with a powerful electric screwdriver or something because you do not want to damage those threads. So always hand tighten first. That way there's no damage to the threads. Now the reason we're not tightening this fully down is to make sure that we've got enough space at the back of the TV for any cables. Make sure it's in the middle of the TV. When you're hanging this TV on the wall, you might need to pull this bracket out using these spacers, and you also get these in the box. Because if you've got the power cable out the back of the TV and maybe a coax or a satellite cable, that bracket on the back of the TV which you're going to hang it on may not have enough room, and the TV will actually be tilting upwards, which won't be any good if you're sitting down watching the telly. So if we just look from the side here and look where the TV is actually going to hang, you can see that that power cable is sitting out proud beyond where the TV mount is going to be. So that is not going to be any good. So we need to get this TV wall mount out slightly further out. So what we do is undo those bolts. Then you take these spacers, put those over the threads. Now take some longer M6 bolts because we're going to need the longer versions. Again, don't forget to put the washers through these bolts. And this is just bringing the bracket slightly out which allows the TV to hang nice and flush against the wall. Obviously all TVs will be slightly different. You might not have a problem with cables sticking out the back, so you might not need to use these spacers, but it's handy having them in there. So put the bolts through the gaps in the TV mount, then put the spacers over the bolts. Then line it up with those threads. And as we did earlier, line those up and hand tighten them. Just to get them going. Make sure that TV mount is central to the TV. And also, before you tighten it up fully, you want to make sure that that is completely level with the TV, because you don't want it hanging at an angle. So I'm just going to tighten these both up very gently. Not going to go fully crazy on this yet. You can see there's a bit of give in the TV wall mount on either end. So you want to make sure it's flush and level with the TV. And as I run my finger along the back of the TV mount, it's not quite level with the back of the TV, it's not quite flush. So I'm just going to undo the right hand screw, just level up that TV mount slightly and then tighten that back down again. Don't tighten up one side really tight and then leave the other one loose. Do them gently either side. So give those a final tighten. And you can see here that the TV wall mount is sticking out further. So that just gives us a bit more access with the cables. So that is looking a lot better. If I just flip the picture on the side as if it's hanging up on a wall, you can see here we've got lots more space against that cable. That is nice and solid. Oh, hello Daisy. Daisy's come to help. What we've also got is we've got these standoffs. When the TV is hanging on the wall, you've just got these standoffs, and as it tilts slightly at the bottom, those standoffs just touch the wall and just keep it nice and secure. And this is what they look like when they're mounted to the TV. So let's get these fitted. Normally you just have one standoff on each side, but if your wall is further away from the bottom of your TV, you can actually double these up and just put this in the middle. This just means it sticks out a little bit further. So just check that with your particular TV, whether you need to double that up or just have one on either side. The pack also comes with these sticky backed metal discs, which you attach the standoffs to. So I'm just going to put one on each side of the TV at the bottom. Just put one there, push that down nice and secure. And then just fix one on the other side. And then the magnetic strip inside that standoff just holds it in place. Fantastic. Look at that, that's really coming on now. So I've got the power cable there, and on the other side I've just got a coax just for the Freeview HD channels. And now we need to hang the TV wall mount against the wall. As I mentioned earlier, this is going to be attached to a masonry wall. So you'll need a pencil just to mark up the centre of the wall where you want it exactly, the exact height on the wall and the width. You want to make sure that if it's in between something that it's centralised. I mean, on the TV wall mount, you can slide the TV left and right, so you don't have to get the TV wall mount in the exact right position. And also it's got some sliding adjusting brackets, so when you're drilling the holes, they don't have to be completely level. There is a bit of adjustment in there. Really important before you hang your TV, make sure any cables are going to be able to reach the TV where you're mounting it. Now, before you drill any holes in your masonry wall, you need to check that there's no electrical wiring behind where you're going to be drilling. This is really important. I've just got a tester unit here, test for any cables or any copper radiator pipework, which may be behind a partition wall. It's not beeping, not going red. But just to prove that it's actually working, if I hold it above the electrical socket, there we go, it's going red. So make sure if you're securing it to a wall that you've tested that. That's the same whether it's a masonry wall or a stud partition wall. If you're hanging it in a stud partition wall, ideally you want to put those screws into the timber studs. So you need to find out where your timber studs are behind the plasterboard. I'm just finding out where the centre of the wall here is. Now, believe it or not, most walls aren't completely level, so wherever you put it, just give it a bit of a wiggle with the wall mount, and if it feels like it's wiggling left and right and it's not completely flush, just move it somewhere where it is nice and level. But also making sure that it's central to where you want it to be, and then mark it out with your pencil. I'm going to take out my raw plugs here. These are the raw plugs which come supplied with the unit. And to drill these holes, you're going to need an 8mm masonry drill bit. And then to drill the exact length, I'm just going to mark this up with a piece of tape so I don't go in any deeper. If you want to use the screws that they supply, you do actually need to drill deeper than the actual raw plug. And I'll show you that now. These are the screws that are supplied. But they've got this odd drill bit attachment in the back and you can't really get much leverage in those. So I'm just going to use my own screws. But if you do use those ones, make sure you drill in slightly further. But I'm going to drill in the exact length of the raw plug supplied and use my own screws, which are the correct length. Okay, they're not black, but you're not going to see them anyway. And as I mentioned right at the beginning, you do get a spirit level on the TV wall mount, which is absolute genius, because you can attach it to the wall and then level it up. So I'm just going to mark with a pencil where I'm going to be drilling into the wall. And I'm looking at the spirit level in the middle to make sure the bubble's dead central. And the holes on the TV wall mount, I'm going to use the farthest ones, the one on each end. If you're drilling into a stud partition wall, you might use one of those other holes if they line up with the stud wall different. There's quite a famous saying, well, I don't know if it's famous, check twice, drill once. Now I'm just going to mark those holes just with a hand drill, which I've got, just to indent the plaster so I know where I'm going to be drilling. Now, oddly, from this camera angle that I'm filming, it looks like they're not level, but believe me, they are actually level. Now I'm going to start drilling, but I'm using a smaller drill bit just to start the hole. So this is a 4 or 5mm drill bit, and I'm not going to go all the way in. It's just to get it going. I don't want to go straight in with a larger drill bit. This is basically just giving you a pilot hole. Make sure you've got your drill completely parallel and level as you drill in. You don't want it going in at an angle. Just blow out any dust. Now I'm going to put in the 8mm concrete masonry drill bit. Make sure you switch the drill off before you swap your drill bits over. And here we go. I have to say, I really don't like drilling into masonry, because you'll find if you go into a mortar or a brick or the side of a brick, the drill bit can just go off skew whiff. So make sure it's nice and level. And then I'm basically drilling up to where I've put that marker on the drill bit. Now if you've got a decent drill, you wouldn't have to put a bit of tape over your drill bit. You can measure it off using your drill bit. I'm going old school. Luckily I've got a variable speed drill so I can adjust the speed of the drill. Now let's do the right hand side one. Lots of concentration. Just going in and out of the drill bit, nice and level, just to make that a really nice clean hole. And just blow out the dust. Or you can use a vacuum cleaner to suck out the dust inside. So if we just do a quick close-up, pretty good, pleased with that, no dramas. And here is one of the raw plugs here. You'll need a hammer and you're just going to be tapping on this very gently. Now you want this raw plug to go in all the way so it's flush with the wall. If it doesn't, then that's bad news. You'll need to try and get that back out and drill the hole slightly bigger. So that's tapped in beautifully. I'm very pleased with that. Now let's do the other side. Fabulous. Now, as I did mention earlier, these do actually need to be level, but it's not mega important. They're completely level because you've got quite a lot of adjustment in this TV wall mount where you can slide it up and down, left and right, like a seesaw on the actual brackets there. You can see that they've got quite a bit of movement in them. I'm just going to put the screws in each wall plug, again just by hand to start with. And then a slight bit of adjustment, just so it starts off level. Don't go mad, tighten it up fully all the way in until you've got it completely level. Just do it nice and slowly. As you can see here as I slide it left and right, there's quite a bit of adjustment in here, which is really good. Because when you're drilling into masonry, there's nothing worse if you haven't got it completely level. But this is a really good idea. So you can always get it level, even if your raw plugs are slightly off center. I'm just going to start tightening them up left and right. Make sure you put lots of pressure, pushing against the raw plug as you tighten it up. You don't want the raw plug to start coming back out the wall, but it should be nice and tight in there if you've used the correct drill bit. I'm just checking the spirit level again. So I'm not fully tightening it down. Check it again. Look at that, happy with that? Just checking the spirit level up close, and that bubble is dead center. Absolutely fantastic. So I'm really happy with that. Now I'm just going to tighten it fully against the wall, pretty much as tight as I can get it, knowing that it is now absolutely level. Really pleased with that. Not sure how they can say on the box installation in minutes. Yeah, maybe once the TV wall mount is installed, the installation of the TV might be minutes, but not the whole procedure. So I've just got this coax cable to go in the back of the TV. on this side, and then you've got the power cable on the other side. To hang it, you need to release the safety clip, which is pushing this button here, and then it pops up. This will be much easier with two people. But then you're just hanging that TV on that mount. There we go. Look at that. Absolutely dead central and flat and level. So this is the back of the TV. You can see where it's hanging there. And then we've got the wall mount spacers at the bottom. The TV does actually move left and right on that bracket. So if it wasn't dead central on the wall, you can slide it left and right. We know that it's level, but we just want it central on the wall. These are the spacers at the bottom, just pushing against the wall. To lock the TV into position, stop it moving about and anyone knocking it off, just push this safety clip downwards. That clicks into place. That stops the TV being lifted up. If you ever want to remove the TV for anything, just push that red button in the middle, that releases the clip, then you can just lift the TV off of that TV wall mount. Now we're just going to do a bit of tidying up with a vacuum cleaner. Although I still call it a Hoover, but obviously Hoover's a brand name. All it needs now is some cable tidies, just to tidy up these cables. Tell you what, I'm pretty happy with that. Time for a cup of tea. Oh, look at that, connected to YouTube already. I'm pretty impressed with that Sanus or Sanus TV wall mount. If you've got any questions or queries on this Sanus TV wall mount, I'll be happy to try and help. Just ask in the comments down below. There's a video in the top right about how to defrost your freezer easily in under 15 minutes. That's a really good tip. And in the top left, how to keep your curtains super smooth on the curtain rails. Again, that's another really good tip. And in the bottom left, how to remove mold from silicone in your bathroom without any scrubbing at all. I hope that video was useful to you. Cheers.